So I'm taking this very high detail, of course, BBI little bird, and I'm going to make it into a Night Stalker's Attack little bird. So the first thing I've done is I've masked off all of the clear glass. So I obviously don't want to paint the clear glass. This part though I do want to paint because that's where some antennas are going to go, because this model of helicopter is slightly different than the little bird that they use for the SOAR Night Stalkers. So I'm going to paint over that. Basically I just take scissors and clip the masking tape to fit perfectly around the glass. Obviously you can never get things completely perfect, which is frustrating, but that's life. So there may be some slight remnants of the brown showing, or there might be some little tiny bits of glass that I paint over. So, but I'm happy with it so far, and I think it's going to look really good once it's painted. Okay, so when I bought this helicopter, I actually got it for just $44 on eBay, but that meant that it was missing a ton of parts. So it's missing the tail rudders, it's missing the rotor blades, and it's missing the landing skids. So what I did was I had these extras from a World Peacekeeper's little bird, and so I just am drilling out the holes on the bottom of the little bird here, and then they fit just perfectly once they're drilled out. So you gotta make do with what you got if you're gonna kit bash incomplete toys. Alright, I'm now about to paint over this beautiful paint job that BBI has done to this beautiful helicopter, because I want it to be a different color. So the trick, a lot of people use airbrush, which is great, but I don't have an airbrush, so I just use a rattle can. And the trick is to do it very slowly so that it won't run. So just apply a little on each go by, like this. Let it dry a little before you put any more on. Just kind of pile up the layers. Alright, as you can see, the paint job turned out really, really nicely. Now I'm going to remove tape to reveal that none of it got painted. It looks perfect. Alright, so here's what I got so far. The helicopter looks like it's turning out pretty good. So, what we've got here is all of the 3D printed parts. So antennas, winglets, and the helicopter blade kind of holder things, as well as the top part. It'll all make sense once it comes together. It's turning out pretty good so far. Alright, so what I've done now is I have drilled holes and attached the 3D printed and painted black antennas and winglets to the helicopter. I really like it. It adds a little bit of detail, and it's kind of hard to see because it's black on black. But I really like that one there. It's got kind of a pointy end to it, and that's all true to form. I also attached the blade connector. I'm making my own blades out of styrene, so we'll see how that goes. It's going to be my first attempt using styrene. I've also got the weapons bench printing on my Ender 3. Fingers crossed that it won't have a runaway heat. I think it's called a heat runaway, something like that. But that will ruin a fine print like this if that happens, because every time I try to start it again, it never does it right. So fingers crossed. Alright, so I've added on some weapons. I'll go over those later. Right now I wanted to cover weathering, so what I did was I took some paint thinner, combined it with black and some gray paint, and now rather than this smooth finish, to make it realistic, I'm covering it with the paint to weather it and make it look like it has more of a rough finish. In a different light it looks a little bit different, it looks a little better, but it'll be excellent once it's finished. Alright, so what I've done is I took the styrene and chopped it, and it actually turned out quite well. This is the styrene right here. They're just really 2mm wide sheets of plastic. Never used them before, but they turned out to be very handy. I cut them as perfectly as I possibly could using a ruler and keeping them held down with a vice grip, and used them for the blades, and I think they turned out really well. Right now I have to glue them on because there's no other way to get them to stay. And then I spray painted the tips with red. You'll notice this is 6 blade instead of 5 blade like the normal traditional little bird. The newer SOAR little birds have 6 blades, so I wanted to be realistic. And I think I might have shown this already, but I 3D printed the rotor head right here to fit the blades into. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I was afraid the paint wouldn't turn out right, and the blades wouldn't turn out right, so everything turned out good. Alright, so what you see I've done is removed the tail from the World Peacekeeper's little bird, so I can use it on my BBI little bird, because the part didn't come with the helicopter that I bought. Alright, this is the finished product, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. It is a SOAR little bird attack helicopter, 6 blades, 6 rotor blade. And the rotor blade spins really well. And so it's got yellow highlights, red tail, and red rotor tips. And as you saw, I made it from an incomplete body. And I was actually happy. I actually like getting incomplete items and fixing them up and stuff. I've done it many times before. I got the pilots to just barely fit in there, but they're squeezed in real tight. I think the cockpit should be a little bit bigger. And it's got full armaments. It's got grenade launchers on this side. And there are the pilots hanging out. There's also a fire extinguisher right there behind him. It's kind of hard to see. But yeah, very happy with how it turned out. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.